Chloe!
Yes!
Do you like figs?
I love Fig Newtons.
And fig bars?
Yes!
They're so good, right?
Yes!
Do you like wasps?
No.
Well, I have bad news for you, and I'm going to break this to you as gently as possible. Figs are filled with the corpses of wasps. Kind of.
What do you mean?
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Figs require a certain kind of wasp to exist. And this wasp is unimaginatively called a fig wasp. The fig wasp also needs the fig to exist. So here's what happens. Follow along with this story of nature and renewal and murder.
Oh.
What happens is a female wasp covered in fig pollen, and let's put a pin in that fig pollen just for now because we're going to revisit that. She will enter the immature fruit through a small hole in the bottom called the ostiole. But ostiole is not a fun word. And since wasps are kind of like bees, I'm gonna call it the bee hole.
Okay, that makes sense.
The bee hole is super tight, just really puckered up. And the wasp goes into the bee hole, but it's so tight, it literally rips her wings off and her antenna.
Oh my, that sounds painful.
She is very adamant about getting into that bee hole.
Wow.
Just to lay some eggs. But here's the thing. Remember how we said she was covered in pollen? Once she's in the bee hole and deep inside the fruit, she starts laying her eggs, which at the same time releases the pollen from her body and fertilizes the fruit from the inside. Because, fun fact, Chloe, figs are weird. They're not so much fruit as they are inverted flowers. There's a lot of science stuff going on, and I'm sure someone will correct me with the right answer, but broad strokes. Figs are inverted flower fruits.
Okay.
Anyway, she laid the eggs, pollinated the fruit, just because she's super good at multitasking, but her task has a deadline. Literally. Because after that, she dies. Inside the fig.
No!
Deep in the bee hole.
This is bad!
So now, inside a fig, a fertilized fig, the kind that grows into the fruit, is a wasp corpse and a bunch of wasp eggs.
Huh?
It's getting worse. Because then the eggs begin to hatch, and the male wasps hatch first. And after going through the larva stage, inside of the fig, the now mature males, who, by the way, they don't have wings, but stay with me because I don't need them, they begin to murder each other.
Inside the fig?
Inside the fig, just a massive wingless wasp battle royale.
Wow.
The winners get to mate with the unhatched females, who, from a genetic standpoint, happen to be their sisters.
Ugh! Wasp incest in a fig. Ew!
And the losers of this battle royale just kind of lay there, dead, sometimes headless. Anyway, they mate with their sisters, and the females then emerge from their eggs already pregnant. Like, the lack of consent in this is just horrifying. And so is the murder.
And the incest. We can't forget about the bee hole either.
The bee hole is what started all this. You enter the bee hole and bad things happen. The male survivors then dig little tunnels out of the fig because it's getting kind of cramped in the bee hole. And once they're outside, they die.
All of that just to die?
Yeah, and then the females use those tunnels that the males just dug, and on their way out, they get covered in pollen. Yeah, remember this pin right here that we, female covered in pollen?
Then they start the cycle all over again.
They immediately go find another bee hole and they start the cycle over again. This is their purpose in life. This is what a fig wasp does, and this is where your figs come from and how your figs get pollinated. You're probably wondering, hey, what about all the corpses inside the fig?
Yes.
The fig releases enzymes that break down the bodies, mostly absorb them into the fruit. Now you'll notice I emphasize mostly a few times there, because sometimes the bodies aren't completely absorbed.
I have to tell you something.
What?
I ate a fig this summer, and it was crunchy inside.
Good news and bad news. A lot of times, that crunch is just the seeds.
Oh, good.
But sometimes, not all the eggs make it, and you should just ignore that little crunch the next time you bite into a fig.